On today's video, I want to help you aspiring nursery starters out there to not be overwhelmed when it comes to figuring out exactly what plants you're going to start your nursery with. There are so many directions you can take a nursery. It can be very overwhelming to figure out exactly what kinds of plants you're going to start a nursery with. There are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of plants. How do you ever narrow that down to just 5 or 10 or 20 that you might start a nursery with? So today, I want to give you some ideas on a direction or a number of directions that you might go in starting out. If you're new to my channel, it's good to see you, and if you're not new, if you've been here a while, well, it's good to see you again. But either way, please hit the subscribe button below so you get my new content just as soon as it comes out, and that would be great for you and for me. Thanks. One of the plants that I really don't talk about much on my video, and it's because I don't grow any, or at least I don't have any growing right now, is trees, particularly ornamental trees like redbud trees, dogwood trees, and depending on your location, trees like crepe myrtle trees, Japanese maple trees. There's all kinds of ornamental trees. This is a redbud tree here right behind me. I got a dogwood tree over there in my yard, but you can't go wrong with trees. People are always looking for a beautiful ornamental tree in their yard. There's all sorts of plum trees, and chances are wherever you live, whatever growing zone you live in, you're very familiar with all sorts of trees in your area. People are always looking to buy them. Small backyard nurseries like yours or like mine are a great place to sell them from, and chances are you can find some that are really unique, some that people maybe can't find everywhere else. So remember, when you're starting your nursery out, to consider growing and selling trees. And while I'm talking about trees, another category of plants that you might have in your nursery is edibles. And when I'm talking about edibles, things like apple trees, pear trees, a number of fruit trees. Again, what's common, what's popular, what are people using and eating and growing in your area? But then there's a whole other pile of plants that can be grown that people would love to buy from you, like blackberry plants. I've showed you my thornless blackberry plants, and of course this one looks terrible because it's dormant and it's winter and all of that, but blackberries, blueberries, elderberries, raspberries, there are all sorts of things that people like to grow in their yards, and it seems like as time is going by, there's a real interest growing in the world today for people growing more of their own food. It seems like vegetable gardens are becoming more popular, and people are raising their own meat, and people are raising a lot of their own berries and nuts and all kinds of things. So berry plants of all kinds, fruit trees of all kinds are extremely popular, and they're a good plant for you to look into to put in your backyard nursery if you're trying to figure out what in the world might I grow. Another group of plants that you might consider having in your nursery is flowering shrubs. Now, I talk a lot in my videos about hydrangeas, and it's because I grow a ton of them. They're super easy, generally speaking, super easy to propagate. You sell a ton of them, but there are also many, many other varieties of flowering shrubs. Again, depends on your area, what grows well and what's common in your area, but hydrangeas, weigelas, viburnums, flowering quints, there's all kinds of flowering shrubs, and most houses in neighborhoods, in the country, wherever they may be, have some sort of shrubs in their yard, whether they're a foundational type shrub like a boxwood or like a holly or something like that, or flowering shrubs, again, like hydrangeas and things that have a prettier flower on them. So you always need to consider growing shrubs. Most of them are easy to propagate, and most of them are going to do well for you. So think about having these in your backyard nursery. Another group of plants that you almost have to have in your nursery. Well, you don't have to. If you decide to go a different direction, that's fine, and you can do great with it however you do it. But perennial flowers, you just almost have to have some in a nursery. Now, I'm sitting here next to my little coral bells tunnel that I showed you guys a couple of videos ago, but have lots of perennials like hostas, and some of the more common perennials are plants like daisies and coneflowers, black-eyed Susans, hostas, dianthus. These plants that put on pretty flowers in the summer, in the spring and the summer, and then they come back year after year after year. This is a perennial plant, and people will show up at your house and they'll say, do you have any flowers? And they may or may not even know what they're looking for, but chances are they're asking for these pretty blooming perennial plants, and there's such a huge variety of them, thousands and thousands of varieties and cultivars, and it's pretty easy to come across some that'll be hardy in your area, that'll do great in your sales, and that people will just about beg you to have more of them. So perennials, you gotta have perennials. As far as I'm concerned, a must-have in your nursery is evergreen screening trees. Of course, I'm sitting in the middle of a few hundred green giants here, and there's more over there, but I probably would not have a nursery in my yard at all without screening trees, whether they were arborvitaes or some sort of cypress or something else. They're just such a great seller. They're easy to propagate. They're easy to grow. People buy a whole bunch of them at a time, and you just cannot go wrong with these screening trees. These things are hardy in such a wide range of growing zones. Most of the United States, these are going to thrive in. There are many varieties of them, like green giants and emerald green arborvitaes. Techni arborvitaes are just a few of the common ones, but these are easy to find wholesale. They're easy to grow, and people love to buy them, so you got to have them. Another plant that extremely common, I don't deal with them at all, but that is annuals. Now, the problem with annuals for a backyard grower is, unless you're going to purchase them in from a wholesaler, they're really hard to grow yourself unless you have a greenhouse or some sort of climate-controlled environment, because they're started from seeds, and you got to get those seeds started in January or February when the weather's still very, very cold. And if you're not set up for it, annuals just aren't going to work for the backyard grower. But if you've got a wholesale source to you, they may be a great addition to your nursery. Also, an annual is not really thought of as an annual. It's more of like an edible annual, but things like vegetable starts, like small vegetable starts. A lot of people would rather buy sprouted out plant already that's several weeks old to start, whether it's tomato plants or beans or whatever it might be. So those things may be something for you to consider. It's probably not something that every backyard grower is going to try to do, but it's just another thing to get your mind thinking and get the wheels turning in terms of what direction you might go in your nursery. But whatever plants you choose to start your backyard nursery with, just get started. Don't wait around until you have the perfect plan figured out, because you're not ever going to have the perfect plan, and you're going to think about it, and you're going to stew about it, and you're going to fret about it and worry about it and think everything's going to die and that nothing's going to work and that people don't want to buy your stuff. Forget all of that. You just got to get started. And I wanted to make this video today just to get you to thinking about several different kinds of plants that you might use to start your backyard nursery. Here's a video with 3 ideas of plants that you might use to start your nursery that's very specific plants. You might have a look at it. Otherwise, thank y'all for watching. I love you, all of you, and I hope you're having a great day.